Yeah, my name is Sonny Tran, and thanks so much, Dean, for providing us value here, the little guy and the audience, and your precious time.
I don't know.
I
It's
come
good to be
from
here, man.
awesome, man. I basically I come from a world of lack. My home country is from Vietnam, and we had nothing when we came here. We arrived here, 8 people. Lived in a one-bedroom apartment, so I really understand how everything works. And now we operate 6 different businesses. I'm an entrepreneur. And what I really love is like all the challenges you overcame and how you overcame dyslexia. And you actually even lived in a one bathroom because you didn't have heat in your house. Could you share a little bit more about your backstory and from how you came from a place of lack to being a mega successful person you are today?
Yeah, well, thanks, man. And I appreciate everybody's journey. We all have our own story, right? And I think, I have to be honest, I've used this term before, but I love the immigrant mindset. To me, that's similar to the book I wrote, The Underdog Mind, the underdog advantage, is because if you look at, you got it right there.
I
But
got it.
look at it, that's what immigrants have, that same mindset. My grandparents, so you came right from Vietnam, but my grandparents came from Italy. And when my grandfather came from Italy, he didn't have a dollar in his pocket. He ended up working on a steamship, shoveling coal as his fee, as his ticket to get to America. He got here with no money in his pocket, didn't speak the language. And because he wanted to change his life, where he lived in this land of opportunity, by the time it gets to me, 2 generations later, I get to live a really great life. Now, by the time it got to me, I wasn't born with money. I did live in a bathroom with my dad when I was a kid. There was no heat in the house. I lived in a trailer with my mom, and not knocking a trailer, but it wasn't the greatest thing in the world. But I think and if somebody's watching you, they have that same desire, that underdog drive, that desire to make more impact, to create significance, to do something more meaningful. And I think some people are just born with that desire. Like if we were in front of an audience right now of people that are listening, and I said, who just knows there's more meant for them in life? I'd bet to say 100% of the people would raise their hand. The second part of that is, how do I get the mindset to keep going forward when everybody else tells me I'm crazy? The third part is, how do I learn from somebody who's already been there, right? How do I gain the blueprint of somebody who's already gone through the tough times so I can figure it out? And then the fourth piece is, how do I implement? How do I take massive action? And not to oversimplify success in any way, but if I look back at my whole life, I had to have all 3 of those aligned. I had to have the right mindset, or I gave up on myself. I had to have the right tactics and strategies from someone who's already done it, or you learn through trial and error and it takes too long and you quit. And then after you're excited and you got the mindset and the strategy, then you got to implement. You got to take massive action. So for me, you probably have a similar journey. I just hated watching my parents struggle. I hated watching my mom work 3 jobs to make nothing. She'd come home at 8, 9 o'clock at night with her back hurting, her hands hurting, her feet hurting. For what? Like $100 a week. She cleaned houses, she cut hair, she painted houses. And something just snapped in me at a young age, and I just knew I had to do more. And I think we live in a time where that's possible. I think if it feels like it's impossible to you, then we just have to shift that story. You have to work on the mindset part, and then gain the capabilities, and then take action. Again, not oversimplifying it, but I don't think we could be alive during a greater time to prosper and have things at our fingertips and be connected. Look at, we never met in person, Sonny, but we met in 2 minutes. Now we're having a great conversation in different parts of the country, right? This is where we're at in today's world. So I could go into my story, but I'll just leave it at this. I'd rather answer some really good things. I'll just share with wherever you are. If you're starting off your marketing career, you're starting out in a business, you have a business, you want to scale it. If your back's up against the wall and you're struggling, you're doing pretty good, but there's more. You're crushing it, but you want a next level. Wherever you are, I promise you I've been there. I've been broker than broke and sad and envious of other people getting ahead. I started my business and know what it's like to get that first sale. I know what it's like to get momentum and then lose it all because I didn't have enough wisdom built in to understand how to run a business. And I had to learn how to run a business and hire the right people. So I've been all the way, I've been on every spectrum. I've been wishing I could make 50 grand a year, and I've made 50 grand by 10 o'clock in the morning, day after day, right? So I've been on each one of these levels, and yeah, that's where I'm at, and I'd love to serve. If you're going to spend the time listening to this, I'd love to deliver some massive value.
Oh, definitely. I think on those stories on how you're showing that the immigrant thing, because I know that immigrants, they come here, they're usually looking for the next opportunity and how to do things. And we are, I agree with that, in the richest land at the best time ever, because I remember when I first came to this country, I didn't speak English in kindergarten or first grade. I spoke no English at all. So second grade is when I kind of started
Wow.
picking up. People thought I was slow. And I was like, well, I just didn't know what I didn't know because my parents didn't speak English. And actually my name change because we didn't speak English, and my birthday got all messed
Oh my
up too. So,
God.
I totally understand. It's just one of those things. You just kind of do the best what you got, and I think that was one of the big parts of reading The Underdog Advantage and your other book, Millionaire Success Habits. It's like there's so much gold in here, and I got introduced to you by Russell Brunson, and a lot of my people that we work with are like salespeople, marketers, entrepreneurs, and they're always trying to figure out like why are masterminds one of the most effective things compared to many other different ways? And I know that's one of the biggest things that we advocate
Yeah.
in this program.
Yeah,
So
so
yeah.
for me is okay. So listen, I gotta say, right? We know what the knowledge industry is. Like knowledge is absolutely the new currency. We are in the information age. I don't have to sell anybody, I'm sure, on this, watching this, you get that, right? But when you break down the knowledge industry, there's books, there's courses, there's coaching, there's consulting, and then there's group training, masterminds, online trainings, communities, right? Workshops. So the reason Tony and I are so passionate about workshops, masterminds, groups, and communities is for three things, and you should really hear this. Speed of impact. I love writing books. No, I shouldn't say that. I love the result of when a book is done. I hate writing a book. I love when a book is done. But writing a book, Sonny, is a bitch. I'd love to say it. I'd love to sugarcoat it. It takes me over a year. I question myself. It drives me crazy. But I love the end result. And I think everybody should write one sometimes. But it's not fast implementation. If you're going to write a good book that changes lives, you got to write a good book. And then you better have a damn good marketing strategy because books don't sell by just putting them on the shelf. So that's the first thing. Second thing is courses. I love courses. I mean, courses changed my life. Tony Robbins' course 25 years ago changed my life. I've impacted millions of lives around the world because of my courses. But in today's world, same thing as a book. If you're gonna build a course, it better be badass. You can't just film 4 videos and stick them on ClickFunnels and think it's gonna be a course. It's gotta be real, and you gotta have support for it. The last one is coaching and consulting. I love that. Coaches have changed my life. I currently have coaches, but sometimes you fall in the time and effort community. It's like someone who's a fitness coach. You might get $150 an hour, but you're still getting $150 an hour. There's no way for you to exponentially grow your income unless you put more time in. So Tony and I said, Tony Robbins, my partner on what we're doing and sharing this with the world, we said, what allows these three things? Speed of impact, speed of implementation, and speed to success. If you look at those three, writing a book takes a long time. It's complex. Courses, training, coaching, consulting. And for us, you could write a book for the next year on how to do marketing better. Or you could get 40 people next week on a Zoom call just like this and give them a 3-hour training that'll change their life. Both are valuable. Both things people pay money for. Both people realize if they want to get better, they can go back to school. That typically doesn't do it. They can learn through their own trial and error. That takes too long. Or they can learn from someone who's already done it. And that's why, masterminds, workshops, communities, group training, online or in person, to us, there's nothing better.
Awesome. No, I think that is awesome. Yeah. My first experience, my first coach I had was Grant Cardone. He got me from a free Millionaire Success book, and then he introduced me to Russell Brunson. And then Russell Brunson, I went and did the 2 Comma Club program. And then when I was there, Dean, your book, Millionaire Success Habits. I was like, okay. Then I get introduced to you. And it's like all these different masterminds that have their superpowers and all these different things. And coaching, I definitely believe, is one of the biggest things, how you can move fastest. And that's definitely what it sounds like you were talking about. Now, my next question, or from my audience, what they're looking for is like, who was your first coach? They know you picked up the Tony Robbins the cassette tape, but who was it that was your first coach after that?
Honestly, it actually was Tony. I mean, I have to say this. This is over 25 years ago. And I have to tell you, I had some older people in my little town. I grew up in upstate New York in this tiny little town. I had some older guys that became friends. I was in my teens and early 20s, and I had guys that were 65, 70. One, Mark Miller, was almost 80, and they became my friends. And I gathered a lot of wisdom, life experience for them. But if I talk about my first education product or my first virtual coach, it was Tony. I got the ultimate edge, and I just devoured everything, listened to it twice. And then I went down the rabbit hole of Dale Carnegie and Earl Nightingale and Jim Rohn and Zig Ziglar. And then Mark, it was just everywhere. It was Wayne Dyer, and I just kept going down the road. And then I'd get courses and trainings. And it's, once you understand self-education like you do, Sonny, there's no faster way. Whether you gain it from someone else or you extract what you know and share it with anybody else. There's no faster way to me to the end result than that.
Awesome. No, that's totally it. Yeah. How I saw in there, you had a couple of different options on how, like, you're going, either you're a reporter. Can you go into a little bit of that, or you're the expert? And what was the third thing again?
Yeah. I'm going to tell you where, because now we have a year under our belt. So I don't know did you see Tony and I go live last year?
I did, and I bought the course last year, so I loved it so much, and now I'm helping promote it. So
Yeah. We changed the world. We had over 200,000 people show up. Now we're in 150 countries, 4,300 different niches. And the last year taught us a really valuable lesson. Like, the world was even more ready for this than we thought. In every niche you could possibly imagine, we have, and this is what I want to share. What it really boiled down to is 3 categories. Either you're the expert, you turn your mess into a message, or you're the reporter of other people's knowledge. That's really what it boiled down to. And it's because we have so much feedback. We over 100,000 messages a month in our Facebook group. More success than anything I've ever seen in all my years of doing this. So the first is the expert, just meaning that you have a skill, a hobby, a passion, an expertise that you've been working on. You're a chapter ahead, right? Whether you're in marketing, e-commerce, hairstyling, painting, writing, every niche, literally 4,300. We had a girl do a workshop few weeks ago. She was painting with wolves. Like, literally, people in the artist world that we needed to break through. She got a workshop and laid wolves down, and it calmed their soul, and they painted like anything you can imagine. But the expert's basically this. Wherever you are, if you are a chapter ahead, a year ahead, 2 years ahead, somebody is starting off on day one, and they're scared to death. And they're either going to try to go back and get knowledge traditionally, which isn't working like it used to. They're going to learn through their own trial and error. Or you could condense your year, 4 years, 8 years, into a training process via Zoom, and you can help them start off where you left off. People think I'm not an expert because I haven't been in something for 20 years. Well, could you save somebody 5 years? Could you save them a year? Because people are willing to pay for speed. So you're really taking your skill, your hobby, your passion, your expertise that we have, we have so many success. I just saw one today. A gentleman was a manager for 20 years and high level in his church. Now he's doing training on helping mid-level managers go faster and quicker. Crushing. He's on his 5th training.
Wow.
But then after that, if you're not the expert, if you don't feel like you are, what really evolved this year more than anything I was expecting was turning your mess into a message. And it's really simple this. We have a mom who, only because I got to see these in the last couple weeks, actually they're right here in front of me. A mom whose kids had eczema, and the doctors weren't fixing it. So she obsessed on it, and she learned how to cure her kids' eczema naturally. And now she ran her first workshop teaching moms. I'm just trying to find her right now. I want to share her name if it's in front of me. No, I don't think I have it in front of me. But now she gives workshops teaching parents how to help their kids beat eczema naturally. Another woman, again, I got these right in front of me. My team put on Kristen Travis. Kristen she was married for 10 years and went through a divorce, and it started getting really ugly. And she realized it was negatively impacting her own life and her children. And she said, no more, can't do that. So she put a framework around it and built a relationship with her ex and helped her kids thrive. And when it worked so well, she took that framework, and now what she does is she helps adults going through a divorce with kids not screw that shit up. How to do it ethically, how to do it the right way, how to empower your kids, how to have a child-centered divorce. She turned her mess into her message, and it goes on. I mean, these are all mess into messages. My team put them on my desk last night. I'm sitting here trying to read them all because we get these on a nonstop basis. Christopher, his mom had an autoimmune disease, and he hated it. He worked his tail off to figure out how to cure autoimmune disease and build your own immune system up. And now he did his first event. He hosted an online event with 7,000 participants learning about an autoimmune disease. He's not a doctor. He hasn't been doing it for 20 years. He just is a kid that wanted to fix his mom and found some really great ways. So the second part is there's some of us go through a mess that becomes our message. And the last part, Christopher could also be the reporter, right? He's not a doctor on autoimmune diseases, but he went and studied the best in the world. And now he's reporting other people's knowledge. So the three ways in is you're either the expert, you turn your mess into a message, or you become the reporter of other people's knowledge.
No, that's awesome. That's how I got to know Tony. Before that, I only known him from the movie with Shallow Hal. What about it? Other than that, I was like, what's this mind thing? But then he wrote this book because I'm in the financial space, Money Mastered the Game. And I'm like, oh, I know Ray Dalio. I was like, what? That's Tony can talk to
Yeah, right, exactly. So Tony's not the finance guy, but he went and interviewed the top finance guys in the world and wrote an amazing book that became one of the best-selling financial books in history, right? He's the reporter of other people's knowledge. And that's how you get in, and you can deliver it online, workshop, build a community, and the world is ready for this more than ever. And that's why Tony and I are sharing it with the world. We figured Tony and I have been in this for 60 plus years. If anybody's going to share the gold standard blueprint on how to do this, we thought it should be us. So we've worked our tails off and we're excited. We're going live again on February 27th. We have over 250,000 people registered already. It's going to be amazing.
Wow, that is awesome. That's awesome. Yeah, I think that was like definitely the message a lot of them they want to hear. I know that I love the fact that you stand up for the little guy, and a lot of them they say, hey, they don't know where to start, or I'm not an expert. What do you say to that? It seems like you kind of answer part of that already. You can be the reporter, you can turn your message to a message, or you can be the expert.
Yeah, well, the other thing too is in life, isn't everything new scary? I mean, when my daughter's 13 now, and I'm having another baby. My wife's having a baby. I'm so excited in a couple of weeks.
Congratulations.
When my daughter was born and 2 days later out of the hospital, they handed her to me and we went home. I remember being like, what am I going to do? I was so scared, but I gained capabilities. I called every father and mother I knew that were good and asked help. I read books. I got a coach. And now I think I'm a damn amazing father, but I was scared to death. I didn't feel qualified. I felt out of sorts. But now I can own that being a dad, right? And it's the same thing with anything. You think of, I'm going to share what I know. That's kind of scary. No, let somebody guide you and give you the capabilities, give you the blueprint, show you how to unlock what you're good at, show you how to identify your ideal client, how to get them to say, yes, I want to be a part of your training, how to deliver that training and then do it over again. All of a sudden, your confidence goes up because you have the courage to start. So don't those questions that you have, don't get confused between confidence and courage. Confidence comes up after, confidence shows its face after you do it. But before you do it, you need the courage to do it even if you're scared.
That's awesome. Great message. I have another question here where it says, I do agree with your philosophy that, hey, you dive in knowledge in your head, you didn't share with the world, that is a big crime. It's kind of like how martial arts are, stories, paintings, teachings, crafts, even grandma's secret recipe for food. It gets passed down from generation to generation. It gets refined and better for the next generation. So what event in your life sparked this philosophy that made you basically evangelical about self-education?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I think I'm at this phase of my life that I owe so much to self-education. I really don't have to do any of this anymore. And I don't say that to like brag, and neither does Tony. Tony is so busy, so many things. Financially, he's set, he's impacting lives around the world. He didn't need to do this either. This leaves a legacy for us because self-education saved both of our lives. Tony was living out of a car when he gave Jim Rohn $47 for an event that changed his life, right? So if neither one of us had self-education, where would we be? And we want to leave this legacy of help training the trainers, right? If we're gone in 50 years from now, but we created a process where people could find the confidence to extract what they know and share it, man, that's a pretty big calling. I need big things to get me out of bed. And I bounce out of bed, but to be on fire about it, it's because I think we're truly changing the world. It's become a movement and we're making self-education the new norm. And when that happens, all of us, so many people probably got passed by in life because they weren't good at traditional education. If I was judged by my grades in traditional education, I'm a loser. I'm a failure. I didn't go to college. I barely graduated high school. I have dyslexia. I probably still have a 9th grade reading level. but I'm a multiple New York Times bestselling author and started 13
Yeah.
companies and impacted millions of lives around the world. What about somebody who gets missed, right? And we don't want anybody to be missed. And it's one of the main reasons we're pushing this so hard and why we're going live and why we're going to over deliver in a massive way.
I love it, man. I love it, and everything that you, Tony, even like Russell do, because I think one of like the big things is that what I really help doing is I like help people making more money from sales and everything. The reason that is because when you get out of the world of lack, where I don't have enough resources, I don't have enough money or whatever, and you get into having that fulfillment of that part, now you can do what your life's desire is, and you're lit up, and you can accomplish what it is your life's purpose is. And I think that's one of the bigger questions that you're talking about that. And you're like, hey, when everything is said and everything's done legacy wise, Dean, it seemed like you just answered what you want to be remembered for helping others and self-education move to the next generation of people.
Absolutely. If somebody just said to me the other day, what do you want to be remembered for? I'd say two things. I want to be remembered as, like, if I split them in half, I want to be remembered as a dad who was totally present and gave his kids resourcefulness, not just resources. We don't need more spoiled brats, right?
Yeah.
Kids. And known as a good man with my wife, which I had the best relationship in the world. But on the other side, it would be business side. It would be that I left an impact of giving people the courage and the capabilities to go out there and do something that fills their heart, that allows them to have meaning in their life, have purpose, while simultaneously having success. And that's why Tony and I are pushing so hard, and we want everybody to show up on the 27th.
Yeah, I mean, I love it. I love it so much that actually I had 2 launches that I was working on, but when your launch came in and I took cue from other people, they stopped their launches as well to help promote this. And I was like, all right, I'm going to go all in on this.
Well,
I'm just going to go. Yeah, I really appreciate everything that you do. And I really do believe self-education is a new norm, because honestly, with some of the self-education I just had over the last 2 years, it probably moved me 10 years faster. And I did go to college. I was a double major. I worked the corporate thing. I owned businesses, and every business that I owned was because someone didn't do something right or good, and I had to solve that problem. And that's why I see you as a huge problem solver, solving these things. And if someone can't do it right, then yeah, you can do it. You don't need to be a doctor like that person you just talked about. They solved that own thing by their research and their ability and wanting it, you know? That drive. How do you get that drive every day like that, Dean?
You know, I have a big calling, man. I have a big purpose. I know what I want out of life, and I'm not going to let anything stand in my way. And I think we all need that. If something's not pulling you to another level, then make it bigger, badder, better. You know, I want to be a great dad every day. I don't want anybody to ever take that away from me. Today, when I'm done with you right now, actually in a couple minutes, I got to leave and go pick up my kids. And like, to me, that's success. I'm going to go grab my kids, go to baseball practice, do homework with my daughter. Like, that's success to me. And on the other side, we have a big problem to fix. Education system is broken. It's not serving people anymore. Trial and error doesn't work, and we don't want people left behind. So I'm going to keep getting up and pushing hard every day to make sure that we can impact as many lives as possible. And it's people like you who help support our mission, and we're so grateful. And I hope everybody listening and watching, I hope you end up I hope you show up live, because there's nothing like live. Is there a link that they can go to, Sonny?
Yeah, I believe it's sonnyslink.com is what they made. Yes.
Awesome. So, yeah, it's Sonny's Link. Yeah, my team, it's on my text right in front of me. sonnyslink.com, and you can reserve your spot for the training. So if you go there, you'll see a picture of Tony and I. But here's the thing. I'm betting you're going to go reserve a spot right now, but I want to take it one step further. Get done and put it in your phone, because there's nothing like live. Last year, we had over 200,000 people show up, but we had thousands of emails of people saying, oh my God, I missed it. Can you do it again? And unfortunately, we're not going to do it for another year. So go to sonnyslink.com, register, and I look forward to seeing everybody, and including you, Sonny, on the 27th live.
Definitely will be there. Thanks so much, Dean, for your precious time. I know you got to go get the kids, and we'll take care, man. Thank you so much.
Thank you, dude. Pleasure meeting you, and pleasure meeting everybody on here. See you guys.